This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, all you crypto boomers. Well, it's Bud and Jay and Paul back after about 3 weeks off. Bud was traveling. I've been traveling. George couldn't be with us because he's been traveling. Jay's been traveling. My goodness, what a fun time to be part of the binge team, huh, guys?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Keeping us running. Let me just go ahead. Today's date is June 23rd, 2021, just kind of as a marker. Obviously, if you're in crypto, you've seen the cycle kind of pull back, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute with Jay. But before I do, I just wanted to give you a little teaser about next week. I'm working with George. I've had several people ask how they track their portfolios, and George and I have been talking about it, and we're going to come up with a little bit of a question and answer session for next week. So be watching for that. And without any further ado, we're very blessed to have Crypto Jay on with us today, taking time out of his busy schedule, giving us about 45 minutes here, which is very generous. I know how busy he is. He's become a very close friend, and I know how busy Jay is, so we really appreciate you coming on and chatting with Bud and I today, Jay. And I think what we want to talk about today is we've kind of gone through a halftime here in the crypto market in this cycle, and I don't know of anyone better at looking at the cycles, looking at the timeline, looking at targets, and just kind of telling us what his thoughts are and where we're at in this cycle. So if Jay, if you want to just take it from there, you've got the screen, and just kind of educate us a little bit and show us what you think.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Paul and Bud. Excited to be here. Haven't been traveling a lot lately, so we are abroad and enjoying our time away, the fruits of our labor from crypto. So, the way I like to obviously start to look at a cycle is I always like to start with the Wall Street cheat sheet. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. There we go. So, if you think about the cycle, I suspect a lot of people have asked me where we're at in the cycle, and I suspect that where we're at in the cycles is about here. Can you see my mouse, Bud and Paul?
Yes.
So
Yep.
as I'm circling this area, this looks to me to be this dip here would have been our dip last year in March. Then we had a kind of a 5-wave pattern up, where you'll notice we had this big, huge move up here, and then just marginally higher highs, back down again, marginally higher highs, back down again. And we can kind of compare that with Bitcoin's chart too while I'm talking about it. So you'll see we had this big move from down here. This was March of 2020, all the way straight up to here. And then from there, you've had marginally higher highs, marginally higher highs, marginally higher highs, and now you've got this big kind of what I call a bear trap. And that is to say, oh, well, the cycle must be over. China's banning miners, blah, blah, blah. It's so bad. We must all sell. And, that again just goes right back to the cycle. So in my way of thinking, we are probably either right about here or maybe even this next leg up here. And the next thing that comes is a push into optimism. This rally is real. Belief, time to get fully invested, because now you're going to break 60,000 and everybody's going to pour into this, because when it breaks 65K, the the mouthpiece of the South, all of them, will be screaming 300,000, 1 million, 600,000. I mean, they're going to be screaming the largest numbers there are. I'm not in agreement with any of that. I've got a analysis that I've stuck with since really the beginning of 2020, and that is a move to 60, 65. If we don't push past that at that time, a drop back about 50%, which we just saw, Then the next move up is, 90 to, we may see is 90 with a decent little pullback and then a push on to about 125, 115, 125. That's my view. And then I see another correction coming into the year, maybe even into spring a little bit. And then we get a surprise extended rally, what I call double bubble, where we go through the thrill and euphoria. And the way you'll kind of know this is playing out is because if we go through optimism and belief, and we actually get that rally up to 90, back down, up to 25, and by that time, nobody's really kicked in with the thrill, and no humans are actually acting like they're in euphoria. So we'll be able to kind of track this as we go. And I think it's important to also tell anybody listening, I'm 100% comfortable with being wrong. It can take off and go to 300,000 and I will be tickled pink. And I will change my analysis as I see that unfold. That's not something that you just don't notice. So if that happens, I will change my analysis and I will come out and I'll say, okay, guys, this is actually going to do a lot more than we thought. And here's my new analysis. So I'm 100% comfortable with being wrong. Does not bother me at all. The people that are bothered about being wrong are the people that have way too much ego. And that's not something you can have. Another
But
great
Jay, can I just jump in and just
Sure,
say
yeah,
that,
please
as your avid student, I have gone back through some of the old videos, and February, January, February, and your wave count for Bitcoin was almost pretty much spot on. I mean, you nailed it. You said back in February, there's a video on your platform. People can go and watch it. They need to sign up at the bitcoinacademy.io, but go and watch this video. And it's back from February, and you're saying Bitcoin to about 60, 65, back down 50%, possibly to 30. This thing has played out like to the wave count, and that's the most remarkable thing. And so you say you may be wrong, but boy, you can be right as well.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And from here, another great way to consider looking at a cycle, I always like to use Cardano for this. And Cardano was perfect because if we just look at the original pump, so Cardano comes out in November of 2017. Everybody I know got in it. I was in it. It was a nice pump. It went from, it actually, here it's showing you 7 cents. This isn't all the chart. This is just everything Binance shows us. But it actually, started from down here at around like just a hair under a penny, and it did this rally up to here. So if we pull that out, there's your rally up to there, okay? And then from there, you're going to get a full cycle down. So as I unfold this, this is the whole bear market, okay? And then notice here, we're now getting down below. If you look at the kind of the bottom over here, you're now down below where that original rally started from. So if you look at it like that, that gives you a really good picture. We'll take a look at this cycle. This is a different way of looking at the emotional cycle. You've got an entire cycle up, an entire cycle down where you go down lower than where you started from. And this is where people are really in despair. When I was telling people to buy Cardano at 2 cents and under, a lot of them were freaked out. Are you sure? People kept saying, Jay, are you sure? Jay, are you sure we should be in Ethereum Classic? Are you sure we should be in Theta? Are you sure we should be in these coins? Are you sure, Jay? Are you sure? And I would just say to them, listen, you do what you want to do. I've got to trade my portfolio. You have to trade yours. But for me, I'm 100% sure. And I was buying millions of tokens. That's how sure I was for me. Now let's see how that played out. So now you get a return to the mean line, which is here, and then it takes off. Let's see how that played out for Cardano. So here's your return to the mean line here. Back down again, new low. You would be in major depression there. Back to the mean line again, above it. Now we're trading above it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 weeks, testing the top of it, and away we go. And by the way, when we come out of here, we're going to new highs. I have highs. Let's see, this chart shows $9, roughly $9.50. I have highs for this particular crypto that go higher than $9.50 right now in the cycle we're in. And guys, all we've done is had a halftime. Let's go back here. This is your first big sell-off in your bear trap in the cycle. So now we're going to kind of go back into the bull part, new highs, new highs, new highs. Up in here, you'll get consolidation, pullback. That to me is probably around 80 to 90,000. And then a breakout again, and then we go, much higher. But all of this, enthusiasm, greed, delusion, new paradigm, all of that will have pullbacks. It won't just go straight up. I mean, right here, when this broke out of here and went all the way up to here, it had a massive pullback right there. Bitcoin did the exact same thing in 2017 during that mad rush up. I'll show it to you. Right there, right there. That was a major drop. You hit, when the new candle opened, we went all the way up and hit 8,000, and then we came right back down and we were at 5,500. So Bitcoin is going to do what you just saw happen in Bitcoin is going to happen over and over and over again for the rest of your days as an investor in crypto. And when it goes like that, you're going to get 80% pullbacks on other coins, 90% pullbacks on other coins. So if you can't take the volatility, by the way, the volatility that's in crypto, it's a feature and it's also a virtue. So if you're looking at the markets and you're going, oh my gosh, I'm so scared, like Jay's over there buying, he's putting out all these buy trades and I'm so scared. First of all, that's okay to be scared, especially if you're new. But let me say it to you like this. The hardest trade you have to put on, meaning that the mental anguish you're going through because you're biting your fingernails and is he sure we should be buying right here? Oh my gosh. And it's so hard for you to do. Those are your most profitable trades. End of story. That is where you will make the most amount of money in crypto. And again, we as a team, we bought on this day over here. I came out and said, guys, everything's on sale. Of course I'm buying. We waited through all of this, and I said to people, if we get a breakdown, because nobody knows you are 100% going to get a breakdown. If you think that there's people that know, then why did $80 billion worth of people's money get liquidated yesterday? If so many people are so much in the know, then how did $80 billion get lost? The highest loser yesterday, they say, was $5.4 million with one person. So 2 days ago, a millionaire, 5.4 million. Today, a thousandaire loses $5.4 million. So if there's somebody that knows, show them to me and I'll follow them. But I haven't been able to find anybody in 20 years that knows. I get an opportunity to talk to people that are as high as it can get, from Wall Street to you name it. And I can't find a single one of them that will sit and say to me, well, I know this is what's happening. This is going to go down to, let's see, 27.6, 28.7. That's your price. Haven't found that person yet. So since we haven't found that person, we have to talk about the what ifs all the time as a crypto coach. I laid out the exact pattern that we have done right here. And at the same time, I laid out a pattern that if we don't go back down, here's how to look to go up. So now that we did go back down, I'm going to come back in this time and do this sometime this week and do some new charting to say, okay, now here's the patterns I'm looking for to see. And so it has to play out. But here's the thing. If you're a day trader, over and over and over again for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks probably, you might have had a winning trade coupled with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 losing trades. Because as a day trader, well, if you're going to make money, you better be at your desk every day and you better be trading. So as an investor, guess what? We got to sell Bitcoin up here. And I did get to sell some Bitcoin up here, not all my Bitcoin, but some Bitcoin. I got to sell Ethereum up here. Let's just look at a couple things. Go to ETH. I got to sell some Ethereum right up here at my target. We always sell on the way to a target.
Mm-hmm.
How about Ethereum Classic? Ethereum Classic went right to target. It took off and went right to target while I was on my trip here. And it was beautiful. It was a $30,000 trade that ended up being $1 million trade when I took it off. 30,000 to $1 million. And the target was given way back here when we bought it. We bought it way back over here at $5. This was in 2018. And as an investor, not a trader, we've just been sitting on our Ethereum Classic waiting for the target. Well, what has to happen to get to the target? The first thing that has to happen is you have to come out of the bear market. That happened on Ethereum Classic about the same time that it happened on Bitcoin. Right there. When it broke above there, came back and tested, February 2021, this was just a couple months after Bitcoin had broken. Bitcoin broke in November, the triangle that is. And then from there, we began to climb and climb and climb. And right here, literally, just weeks earlier, when the price came up to here and pulled back, I had a number of people say, "Are you sure, Ethereum Classic? Are you sure?" And I said, "Listen, guys, the people I talk to tell me that the Korean government is accumulating Ethereum Classic. It's on the other side of the world. You're not going to hear about any of it. Hang in there, you'll be okay." And I had, from all the way back here, we had a target of 165. Now, we had pulled our target back. If I'm not mistaken, we pulled it back to $90. And then as we started to approach $90, I moved it back. And I said, no, guys, this is going to go to our original target. And most everybody got to sell it between 160 and 180. Is that what happened, guys?
That is exactly what happened. And I was able to execute that trade, and it was flawless. I mean, it was on the way up, just like you teach, but it was flawless.
Yeah. Well, the point I'm trying to make here in talking about some of these is everything has a cycle.
Yes.
Even here, if you look at Ethereum Classic, look, you see where it was over here, and then it went negative. Look, right here, it goes up, makes a cycle, goes negative, comes back up, new paradigm begins. Now you go off to your new cycle, you do a whole new cycle. And I would guess, now that we've done all the way up into Euphoria on this particular one, I would guess that, well, maybe not Euphoria, but we did what I call a mini cycle. And now we'll probably do a whole nother cycle. And this will all be one cycle when it's over. But if this came down to $19 or lower, then to me at that point, it would probably be a place to buy it again. For now, looking for a new high. And you guys know I've got a target for this bull market that goes out to about $300. So if you came back down and you tested this old little peak right here of around $19 at some point, it doesn't have to be right now. This could take off right now and go right up to 215. And I'm not in it, but that's about a 5x, okay? And it could do that, and then it could do a spiral down, and then it can go up. If you don't believe it, take a look at Theta. Look at Theta's cycle. Theta was
Jay,
on
just
there.
before you leave that, look how cruel crypto can be without any education. And this is why we encourage the psychology of trading, because if you look at that chart, scroll over a little bit, you can see it makes higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and then the third higher high. So if you're kind of like trading this actively and getting out and trying to get back in, I guarantee that, I mean, from your viewpoint, do you think people got out at that third higher high only to then watch it go down a little bit and then absolutely take off
Yeah,
and chase
that's
it?
exactly right. Very few people in the world of investing, number one, very few people ever buy low and sell high. Literally, when we were selling it on this day, I can promise you there were thousands of people around the world, if not millions, that were buying our coins when we sold them. And we sold them at I think my average is about 172 of where I got out, 172, maybe 167, somewhere right in there, literally right at the top. And then it drops from there all the way down to $31. It gave up $150 worth of profit. So people getting in right here are now having to decide on this big red candle. And now the last 2 weeks, they're having to decide, well, maybe this is over. Maybe it's just going to zero from here. I guess I'll sell. And then as they sell, the price pushes down 20, 25, 30, $19, whatever it is, pushes down, and we buy it back again. But very, very, very few people ever buy low and sell high. People have been indoctrinated that the only thing you buy low is an Xbox on Black Friday, and that's after they break your face trying to get through the door before you. And they'll buy an Xbox on sale. But if you tell them Bitcoin's on sale, look, guys, it's under 30K, it's on sale, it's been to 65, they'll go, I'm not going near that with a 10-foot pole. Yet they'll scream and cry about how, oh yeah, well the idea is to buy low and sell high, right? Yeah, that's the idea. Can you do it? I don't think you can do it. Most people are so full of fear of what they see on a chart, and then you add with that all the FUD. I mean, the FUD has a cycle too. Whenever things go down, the FUD is as thick as it can be. China's banning, Texas is out of power, the people are moving to Texas, so the hash rate's going to go down. The S&P is just about to collapse right now, any day now, so this is going to kill Bitcoin. I mean, you just name it, the FUD is thick, and it happens every time there's a big sell-off in crypto. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, as if somebody rang a bell, it just flips right over and a new cycle comes in, the price starts to go up, and there's a whole cycle of good news. Michael Saylor has deployed $400 million. Carl Icahn says he got his money in at the low. Did you get yours in? Blah, 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 blah. Bitcoin's going to go to Tesla. Tesla now has, they actually, every Tesla being produced from 2021 forward has got the same gaming card in it that they mine Bitcoin with. What do you think that's about? Have you stopped to think about that, ladies and gentlemen? How about your car comes in at night and parks and charges, and while it's charging, it's mining Bitcoin, and it's doing it very efficiently with your Tesla roof. And all of a sudden, you see a decarbonization of Bitcoin. Everything has a cycle. The news has a cycle. The price has a cycle. Price is the number one indicator. 99% of people look at everything else as an indicator. They go, oh, look at the MACD. Oh, look at the this. Yes, those things can be useful, but price is your number one indicator. And so I'm of the viewpoint, it's like this. When you see a group of NFL ball players come out on the field to play a football game, here's what you get. They come out about 30 to 45 minutes before the game starts. And they're sitting on the ground, they're stretching, they're doing calisthenics, they're throwing the ball, they're getting warmed up, they're running plays, and they're getting warmed up. If you look at Ethereum Classic here, that's what was happening right here after Bitcoin in November had already broke the triangle. So now all the rest of crypto is warming up, warming up, warming up. And then they break out and they play a game. That game went to here. Now we have a halftime. Okay, the halftime is either over at this point or very close to being over. We'll know in a few days. It doesn't matter. If it goes down lower, it's a gift. Buy some more. Okay. If Bitcoin makes it down to 24, 25,000, fantastic. Buy some more Bitcoin. Okay. But here's my point. When the halftime's over and Bitcoin does rally on out, it won't take all this time that it took in 2020 of the warm up to get the price back to here and going higher. When the football game gets to halftime and they all go back in the locker room, when they come back out, they takes them all 5 minutes to warm up. It doesn't take them 45 minutes anymore. They're already warmed up from the game. Just 5 minutes, boom, they're back playing. And it'll be the same way with all your altcoins, all your coins that are not Bitcoin. They will get back to playing the game faster than they did back here. This was weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks right here warming up, even into right here before it actually went up. This next time, you might get a 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, boom, you're making a new high. 2 weeks on some of them, you'll be making a new high. And so just remember that everything has a cycle, and in the cycle, if you get a halftime sell-off like this, see how it took all this time to take off? Well, look over here. When the halftime's over, it doesn't take all that time to take off. You literally go a real short distance and you've taken off. And so a lot of people need to understand the cycle and get their butts away from the news. I don't care about the news. I definitely hear and read and see the news, but I don't care about it. What I care about is price and the cycle and what I see happening with insiders. If you follow the insiders and forget everything else, you'll be golden. So when the prices are going down, look, when this came down right here, let's look at it on Bitcoin. When this came down right here, this first big drop right here, this big drop, when this happened, I said to people, give it a couple weeks and you're going to start seeing headlines about all the different companies that bought Bitcoin right there. It didn't even take 2 weeks. It took 3 days. And the headlines started coming at you from every direction. Grayscale buys tons of Bitcoin under $30,000. So-and-so buys tons of Bitcoin. Carl Icahn's buying Bitcoin. So-and-so is buying Bitcoin. If you follow the insiders who understand the cycle a lot more than you do, you're going to be okay. And I know I'll talk about this too before I kind of give the mic back to you guys. From over here, from this perspective, there's an awful lot of people that are screaming this pattern right here. So while we're talking about patterns, let's don't leave one out.
Yeah, I saw that.
A lot of people screaming about this pattern right here. They're going, oh my God, look at that massive head and shoulders. Get out of Bitcoin. Get out of Bitcoin. Let me tell you something. There are tons of times that you get a head and shoulders, an inverted head and shoulders, a W pattern, an Adam and Eve pattern, and those patterns do not play out. Tons of times in the world of investing this happens. Let me tell you when it almost always happens that they don't play out. If you have an asset class, you guys do remember an old guy named Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett said this. He said, the #1 bullish sign you can ever have in any asset class, more bullish than anything else. We're not talking about Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin, the biggest bullish sign you can ever have is when it's supposed to die and it doesn't. And Bitcoin has done that like 12, 15 times. It was supposed to be dead. The news has written it off. It's dead. Go away. You know, you lost your chance. If you're still in, you better sell while you still have some money. And they got the retail public to release their coins at the bottom right before it went up. And again, it was supposed to be dead and it didn't. So we are sitting here discussing an asset class, and that's the point I'm making. We're discussing an asset class that was supposed to die and hasn't died like 12, 15 times. So it's not just the most bullish sign you've ever had, it's the most bullish sign you've ever had 12 or 15 times. So let's compound that puppy. Now, do you think, if anybody knows anything about a head and shoulder pattern, when it breaks the neckline, it's supposed to go the same distance of the neck to the top of the head. And that's typically what happens. If you put that on your chart, well, Bitcoin's at 0. In fact, it's -5,000 to to be quite honest with you. So when I look at this pattern that the whole world is talking about, even the guy from The Big Short is now saying, look at the head and shoulders on Bitcoin, you guys better get out. Look, I'll give the guy props, he's a smart man. But is the asset class that was supposed to die 12 or 15 times about to go to negative 5,000? I don't think so. Do things like that happen right after Carl Icahn gets in? He's an icon for a reason. Does that happen right after the #1 Bitcoin Now hedge fund of MicroStrategies puts in another $400 million of the wealthiest people's money out there? I don't think so. Follow the insiders. Don't follow the YouTubers. You follow the YouTubers, you're going to lose every time.
With the exception of our channel, Jay.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is you guys are not posing as influencers.
No.
You guys are truly coming out on a weekly basis and saying, we want to try to do something each week that would help somebody watching the channel. You're not actually out there saying, because we have 700,000 followers, if you want to know what's going on in crypto and you want to be ahead of the curve, you'll listen to us. And those people put the label on themselves as a YouTube influencer. I'm not a YouTube influencer. I'm not looking for followers. I'm looking for leaders. There's a whole world that are trying to be somebody's follower. Oh, I follow that guy. How about stand up and be a leader and quit being a follower? And part of being a leader, which Bud, I think you have displayed it probably as strongly as any student I've ever had, is you went out there and you went to work. You said, okay, I found a guy who's got some fruit on the tree. He's willing to teach me. I'm going to dig in deep. I'm going to keep notes. I'm going to write down everything he says. And just like you said in this recording, you said, hey, I was just recently reviewing some of the things you said in January and February. I'm watching videos. You know how few people are right now watching videos from January and February? They're sucking their thumb, man. They're like, oh, you think Jay was right? You think XLM is going to go up? I mean, I'm down. I put some money in XLM and it went down. I mean, as soon as I put it in. Well, I can't help it that you come into the cycle right at a point of inflection where we get a halftime. But what I can tell you is you just got a gift to add to your position. So if you went all in, you have to just ride it out. But if you still have money, you do have an option. You can bring your average price down. And as an investor, not a trader, that's okay to do. If you're a day trader, that's not something you participate in, averaging your price down. You better be good enough to pick a bottom and get out at the top. I don't care if that's only $50 worth of profit or 1 hour's worth of movement. You got to be good enough as a day trader to pick that bottom. And then when you do, it starts to go up. It gives you that gift of going up. You take it and you get out of the market. And you say, as a day trader today, here's what I did. But as an investor, it's okay to add to your position, especially if you've taken some profits off the top, like a lot of us have.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, bud.
No, one of the things I want to ask you before we have to let you go is, you know, one of the mantras or teachings is buy the fear, sell the greed. And we make money in the middle 80% of a run. But when you talk about most people, because most people won't buy the fear, most people are fearful, and you hit the nail on the head when these people come out and say, sell, 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 we've got a head and shoulders, Bitcoin's going, you know, down, and those people are selling the fear. So what is normal? If you had to put let's just use that chart right there. If you had to put a price on it, a normal person would be buying where? They're going to wait until
a normal person would actually probably buy Bitcoin. So here's what'll happen. Right now, I was just on the phone. I don't think he'll mind me mentioning it. I was just on the phone with Dick Argyle last night, and he had a guy who bought Bitcoin. He saw this guy at the beach. Dick goes and swims the beach every day. And this guy was saying to him back in April and May, back over here, this guy was going, hey, you know where I can buy some Bitcoin? And he said, hey, you know, you might not want to buy some Bitcoin right now. He said, we've gone up an awful long ways. You may want to get your money in place. and just hold tight, even if it goes up a little more, and wait for there to be a really good correction because we're due for one. Well, this guy didn't listen. He went out, he bought his Bitcoin. He bought it at 60-some thousand. Dick sees him at the beach yesterday and he says, "Hey man, cryptos are down. We're buying a few things. What are you up to? How's your Bitcoin doing?" And the guy took his hand and swatted it at him and said, "I don't want nothing to do with that ever again." Why? Because the normal guy bought up here, sold somewhere down here, and if that guy's a glutton for punishment, he'll come back again and he'll probably buy. Most people will probably buy this breakout right here. Even some of the best traders on Wall Street are still breakout traders. And all they have to do is be right 45% of the time and have good money management, and they can make $500,000 a year working for a big firm. I am a volume trader, I'm a price trader, and I'm a pullback trader. So when the price pulls back, I want to buy. So I'll give you an example. Ethereum, when Ethereum pulled back off this top, get down here to it. When Ethereum pulled back here, I was buying my Ethereum back. I'm a pullback trader. It went lower again yesterday. I bought some more. I bought some more and brought my average price down a little bit more. My next target goes quite a ways up top. Quite a ways up top, my next target. And by the way, I didn't sell it all, so I'm still holding 2/3 of my position from way down here in all these areas. So I've still got 2/3 of that position. I've put my third of the position I sold back on down here. Most people will wait until Ethereum breaks this level right here, and they'll be diving into the market. And if they happen to do that on, let's say, like a wave 5, and the price isn't going to go up much, they'll get in at 4,600, 4,800. They're going to be hearing people say, the next stop's 30,000 on Ethereum. It'll go right up and hit 6, 7K and turn around and fall and go right past theirs. Let's draw this in. It'll go right past their number. Let's put that where it's supposed to go. It'll go right past where they got in and right down to here again, pierce this line a little bit, and they'll go, "Oh man, what did I do?" And they'll sell it for 50% loss.
Yep.
And 50% of their money's gone. That is what the normal person does, by the way, over and over and over and over and over again. And that is the reason why this chart does not lie.
Yep.
This chart is telling you the emotions that the people feel. People say to me all the time, "What moves the market?" And I say, "You tell me what moves the market." And they say people, and I say wrong. What moves the market is people's emotions.
Yep.
That's what moves the market.
Paul, do you remember what we were saying exactly here is friends don't let friends buy Bitcoin at 60,000. Do you remember us saying
exactly.
We did say that. Right.
We kept on and just calmed down and yeah.
Well, one of the things, and Jay pointed out that there are breakout traders, but most people don't even realize that's what they are. What they are doing is they're going, "Oh, okay, it's gone back up. Now it's going to be okay, so I can get back in." They don't even realize that, you know what I mean? So it's the total psychological mess that people allow themselves to get into because they don't have the training to get through the cycles in the market. And man, I'm telling you, we talk about this every time we come on here, Bud and I and George, is if you don't have that training, you may as well get out as far as I'm concerned. The thing that makes the crypto market so appealing to me and so incredibly such an incredible opportunity is the volatility, and that goes both ways. So if you don't have volatility down, you're not going to have volatility up either. So you know, you have to embrace that. You have to be trained to know when to buy that fear. And you know, it's just, I'm glad you pointed that out, because that is exactly where I would have put the box, where I see people wait and wait. I want to make sure that, you know, these people that are saying Bitcoin's dead, I want to make sure they're not right, because man, if they're right, I don't want to put money in right now, you know. And anyway, Yeah. So
Paul,
Hey
Paul,
guys,
I just
listen, my
noticed,
time is up. I've
yeah,
got another
I've noticed
meeting
the
I've got to
time.
jump to here,
We've
but
got to let
I'm
you
gonna
go,
let you
Jay.
guys continue on if you want. And thank you for having me on.
fantastic. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
You have a
Thanks
great
a lot.
one. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys.
Take care.
You guys too.
All right, Bud.
All
What
right.
do you,
Well, that
let
was a
me
lovely
get us.
session, wasn't it? Wonderful
Oh,
session with Jay.
yeah.
And as I said, Paul, just looking back through, I mean, what the access we have with someone who is as talented and gifted as Jay is phenomenal. So, you know, going back through some of his old videos from 2019 to 2020, you know, the most amazing thing is you see this wave count, and he's counting this out in the past, and then you kind of double check and look what happened, and it did play out. Now it doesn't play out, you know, exactly, but certainly the targets that we get from Jay and the training is spot on. So
Absolutely. And, you know, I don't know that people realize how lucky we are. I mean, we've been with Jay for many, many years, but when you talked about just how good he is at the technical analysis and being able to, um, you know, go through it and teach it, and then going back and looking at previous videos and going, man, I mean, his pricing is phenomenal. Timing, you know, can always vary a little bit, but his targets and stuff like that, yes, he does come on occasionally and update targets, but it's because of what's happening in the market. So, but I'm trying to share a screen. Can you share your screen? Do you have it?
yeah, I just wanted to show
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
you know, look what Jay he's basically walked us through, because you and I have been with him since pretty much day one.
Right.
And, you know, we've gone through this kind of this right-hand side of the market. You know, basically we turned up with Jay. Jay came on the scene when we had this kind of enthusiasm and euphoria, and so we rode that out. We rode out the fear, the capitulation, the depression, and you feel it. You really do. You know, you have to go through his techniques to meditate and just try and figure out, you know, how to control your emotions. But he's walked us through this smart money phase, you know, where we really did see the markets go in a stealth phase, you know, just where they wouldn't move for years. And then now the institutional stage. So we are very, very fortunate to get like almost ahead of the institutional investors.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, and he talked about Saylor putting in $400 million. That's, you know, that's no joke. I mean, that's, you're not going to put in their position, you're not going to put $400 million into a market that you don't think is close to its bottom.
Yeah.
So, you know, and these
Did you
people
want the screen back, Paul?
Say that again.
Do you want the screen back then?
No, go ahead. That's fine. I just didn't want an empty screen for everybody to have to stare at. But
All right, okay.
My screen, I had the bitcoinacademy.io up. And speaking of which, make sure you guys, if you're interested in getting over there and learning from Jay, click the link that's under this video. But I think, let me look at mine just to see. He had an interesting one that popped up. His first or his chat today on there is, when everything is on sale, how do you pick? And we kind of talked about that briefly, him and I, before we started recording. And I was talking to him about several people who had contacted me and were talking about, you know, when do I buy? I want to buy the fear like you guys talk about, but I don't know when. And if you're part of his group, obviously Jay gives targets, and then they're incredibly accurate targets, but he also teaches you how to come up with some targets of your own. And one of mine, I had somebody ask about ADA a couple of days ago when it was around 120, 125, and doing my analysis, I felt like you could buy it for around 105. So, and they ended up yesterday or the day before buying it for 104. So, you know, that's the beautiful thing. You know, you teach a man to fish, and that's kind of what Jay does. You don't have to rely on him catching fish for you. So I know that you do a lot of technical analysis, and we've shown it on this channel before, but don't you think that's probably more important than just having somebody tell you what to do? Because someday Jay's not going to be around. Someday, you know, that guy that you listen to on YouTube, if he is making you money, and I doubt he is, but if he is, he's not going to be around. Then what do you do? So if you're not being trained on how to do this yourself, how to go out and fish yourself, then, you know, it's going to be short-lived. So anyway, anything you want to finish up with, Bud, before we kind of finish up here? And I'm excited about next week. I don't know, I hadn't talked to you about it, but I think next week, George and I were talking. I've had several people ask about tracking portfolios and what is recommended. They were asking what websites recommended, and George, I talked to George about that, and he's got his some feelings on that I think are important to let people know about. So we'll be chatting about that next week, and then whatever else we want to talk about. Shoot, we may be talking about Bitcoin at 65,000, or we might be talking about Bitcoin at 22,000 and how much more we're buying.
Yeah, it's just it's an animal, and
It is.
it's certainly you know, it certainly made me a more a person that's more grateful for the you know, the actual being in this market and being part of this wealth transfer. But certainly I wasn't feeling grateful after its big crash, that's for sure. So
Well, and I was just going to say that, but you know, I don't want to give anybody the inclination or feeling that we don't have emotion as well. I wanted Bitcoin to go on up. I wanted, you know, our cryptos to hit their targets so that I could sell and then wait for the pullback. And unfortunately, that didn't work out yet, but it will. And we are just as susceptible to emotions as anybody. It's just the difference is that luckily we've been trained how to tamp those emotions down and still make trades even when you're fearful. Buy in the fear, you know.
yeah, and the other good bit of advice is you know, to put your, I know we track our portfolios, but to kind of put that to one side when it's going down. You know, your game plan, you don't need to kind of be reminded of you know, the paper loss that you're sitting on as the bear trap plays out. So
Absolutely, that's exactly what I do. I don't look at it very much, and when it's going up crazy, I try not to look at it too much also,
yeah,
because
that's a whole
boy,
different
it's easy to
ball.
get, you know, it's easy to get crazy excited and be focusing on that and miss a trade here or there. So anyway, we miss George. George, we miss you. I know you're gonna listen to this later. I know you're out having fun, traveling, living the binge life. We missed you today, and I can't wait to chat with you later this week and for sure next week. But until next week, guys, don't ever forget, it's about wealth creation, not just investing. We're creating wealth. And whenever you see a market like this that's so volatile, just remember, right now it's volatile on a pullback, but tomorrow it could be just as volatile going straight up to our targets. So we're really blessed to be in a market that has this volatility, and slow and steady may win the race against a rabbit and a turtle. But this volatility, if you know how to trade it, if you know how to be a swing trader like Jay teaches, this volatility can make you wealthy. Until next time, guys, have a great day, crypto boomers. Talk next week.